Serving in the military is an experience that can change the course of somebody's entire life, whether they serve for a few years or a few decades. This was certainly the case for Mo Gemme, an 81-year-old Marine Corps veteran who served for 3 years during the Vietnam War. Mo's time in Vietnam inspired him to find a way to make a positive difference, which he did by building a family that has stayed close for 50 years. Mo's family, which consists of 3 adopted and 2 permanently fostered children, came together in a way that could be described with 2 words: fate and faith.
I was going to be drafted in the Army, and it was during the Vietnam era, so I didn't realize until later there was a plant. And I was in line to get my shots and indoctrinated, and I said, "This is special, at the Marine Corps, let's go there." I couldn't go myself because my knee, I had a bum knee, but why don't you go talk to them? Well, they had a special 3 years instead of 4, so I went in there. But it was meant to be, because I'm really, really, really thankful that I was able to be a part of that great, great Marine Corps.
At first, Mo's time in the Marines didn't seem particularly out of the ordinary.
I went boot camp in Parris Island, South Carolina, and then I did my ITR training at Camp Lejeune. Then not too long after that, we were asked to join them overseas. We went to Okinawa. I was in Okinawa for about half a year. And then we boarded another ship, and we landed in Da Nang, like the pirates, with the ropes down into the landing craft. We had no weapons. It wasn't hostile where we landed. We arrived there Thanksgiving Eve, and Hanoi Hannah was on the radio telling us what the VC would be eating in our mess halls and sleeping in our tents within 90 days. But next day we had a turkey. I couldn't believe it. It was the toughest turkey I've had in my life, but I couldn't believe I had turkey on Thanksgiving in the middle of nowhere.
During his time in Vietnam, Mo had a wide range of duties.
I did a lot of different things, which, you weren't bored anyways. I was attached to a 155 millimeter howitzer battery north of Da Nang area. We went out into the field. I was in communications, and we went to different locations. We worked in the exec pit and on outposts at night, and I was on 5 forward missions. I spoke French, so I was a French interpreter, and I would go into the fields and the paddies and wherever the jungle and with the corpsmen. I got a 5-ton license, a military license, so I was able to do a lot of things. I was volunteered many times, whether I volunteered or not. And as a Marine, you do what you're supposed to do, and I did.
That 5-ton license ended up playing a big role in Mo's life plan, bringing him close to situations that he never imagined, and that stuck with him to this day.
I drove the trash and water. Well, we had GI cans with slop, from the mess hall. It was mostly liquid, but there were chunks like a head of lettuce. We could eat this much in the middle because it was all slime and brown. And so the first time I was driving, and my A driver said, "Mo, look in the back of the truck." We were going like 30 miles an hour, and the young men were attaching themselves to the truck and putting stuff in their baskets as fast as they could and eating as fast as they could. This is all, real bad stuff. And these were mostly from the North, Catholics from the North, who were in this, we were in the back of this big cemetery, and they would use one of the headstones for part of their wall to their hut that's where they lived. So they had nothing. I had never, experienced anything like this before. And until you walk a mile in their shoes, you don't know. Driving in one time, and there was this kid, and maybe about 10, and he had an apple sticking out of his pocket, a real red apple from one of the buckets, and this big smile on his face, and he's saying, number one, number one. And so he's coming back, I'm driving back, and he's walking away, and I stopped the truck, and I went down and shook his hand, and he's eating the apple. Half of it was gone, it was all brown. He's smiling, and I never forgot that, because here I am. I got tears falling down on the dry sand. The sand was like, it disappeared. The instant it hit the sand, it was just so hot. And he's just smiling, going on. He's just so happy to get this brown apple. I saw the red part, but I didn't see the brown part before. And, and so I'm trying to turn so my A driver wouldn't see me. and then this family, they have 3 little boys and the mother and father, and they would wash our truck in the little muddy brook that was behind there, but I had no money. I gave them whatever, to help them out. And they asked me to take their 3 sons home with me, because they said, boys register for the draft at 10. And once she just had the day before, she just had the baby, a boy. So, but there's no way that I could, but I couldn't forget these things. And the first time I held a starving child with a swollen belly, and we were trying to find out, we couldn't do anything. I had gum. We had nothing. It was just P&R, I guess, but I couldn't get it out of my mind. I mean, it's the first time I've ever seen anything like this.
Mo was also tasked with driving his fellow Marines to church services, where he connected with a French-speaking nun who was involved with the local Catholic school and orphanage.
When I was there at the school, I was in French. I went to school. It was half French and half English, and we had the Catholics have this croisillon, which is a blue army of the Blessed Mother, and there was a nun at the church, and there was a school next to it, and they sang for us, and so the lieutenant and I spoke. I spoke French, and she spoke a little bit of English, so we were able to talk, and that, so I kept in contact with her, and other people too that I met.
One night, Mo's camp was attacked, and one of his close friends was killed. Amidst the chaos, he called on his faith to make it through.
We were attacked, and I thought it was back home. I saw the lightning and I heard the thunder. I thought it was, raining back home, but it was the explosions, the mortars landing, and all the sand and the junk landing on top of the tent. People were going home in body bags, and I made a promise to my Blessed Mother, because my mother, when I went, I just sort of said goodbye, young people. I didn't really give her a proper goodbye. I made a promise. I said, I don't care if I go back with missing limbs or almost dead. It just let me say a proper goodbye to my mother. And so I made it back. Fine, no problems. As far as I knew, Agent Orange is something else. But so I said, what do you want me to do? For years I was, I got to do something. I couldn't get the kids out of my mind. So I found out that there are people adopting. And so I started to inquire, and then I went to do my home study. And of course, everybody was saying, no, you can't, no, you can't. I mean, because in those days, single men were not adopting. Not internationally. I prayed very, very hard. Almost as hard as I prayed when I was in Vietnam, because that's part of it too. And when I got to the point where I says, is this what I'm supposed to do? And I came home one evening, and literally, this really happened, my room changed. It was like light, there was like stars, and it became a cathedral. And then this vision appeared of a man. Didn't say anything. I thought it was my time to go. I mean, that's what I thought I was getting. Oh my God, this is what happens when you die. But what it is he didn't say anything, but I was scared at first, but then I can't give you the feeling, but it was so relaxing. I became confident eventually. The visions went away. And then I knew. I got up and I started pacing back and forth. I'm ready to go. This is what I'm supposed to do. And that's how I got my kids.
Mo had intended to adopt 2 children from the orphanage in Da Nang, which he had visited during his time in the service. But they were unable to travel to Saigon, where Operation Baby Lift was evacuating children at the time.
People were starting to leave, and it was dangerous. My first 2 kids who were at the orphanage in Da Nang, not the Da Nang, couldn't get out. The nun who had the orphanage, she was in her 60s and she couldn't make the 200-mile trip to Saigon. So the agency asked if I would accept 2 others, and that's how Larry and Jason got here.
My mom gave me up in orphanage at the age of 5, and from there I stuck around Jason in the orphanage, and that's how Jason and I came together, because I wouldn't let Jason go, and so they couldn't separate us.
Yeah, they were coming on United Airlines, and I thought they were on the first flight that crashed, but because for 3 days I couldn't function, couldn't work doing it, but then they were on the first flight to make it out, and that's where Time magazine took their photograph on the floor.
Mo wasn't sure how he would afford getting his children to the East Coast once they made it to the States, but he took a leap of faith, and it paid off.
From the West Coast to New York, I had to pay it. And of course I told the agency I had the money, but I didn't. So my mother says, people have, baby showers. Maybe we could do something like that. So a friend of mine had a beginning celebration. And so I said, okay, all that is a beginning. And we had a beginning celebration in Greenback. And it was a time when nobody had money. I mean, I had $3 in an envelope. That's all they could afford, And I was just so thankful for these people, because I needed just under $2,000, and that's exactly what I got. Just what I needed for their flight and the escorts to take them to Kennedy.
On their first night, Mo's friends and family's kindness continued, visiting the house and giving gifts to make Larry and Jason feel comfortable.
That very first night, I had the beds for the kids and maybe some milk and stuff. I didn't have no toys, no nothing. And so people brought things, clothing and toys and everything.
Despite the challenges he knew he'd face as a new parent to refugee children with a language barrier, Mo had faith that things would be okay.
If I was sensible, I probably would have been scared. Excuse the French. But, I was so calm. It's like, this is what I'm supposed to do. I didn't feel afraid at all. I just felt relieved and comfortable. Larry and Jason each had a carnation. I guess they must have gotten it maybe when they got onto the plane or something. And Larry still has, he was so weak, still had his carnation with a big long stem. Jason had a stem about this big. I put them on the table, around kitchen table, and everybody put their stuff on top of it. But after everybody left, I took everything off, and I saw these two flowers. So I found a jar, I put them in water and put them on the table. And next morning, Larry was the first one to get up. I was in my bed, I put them to bed, and I heard him, he was so congested. I heard him going, breathing hard in my doorway, just standing there. I said, oh, good morning. So then I explained to him. I said, okay, you, Jason, me, 1, 2, 3, because they couldn't speak English. 3. I said, is it okay? I'm trying to get approval, is it okay? And so I said, 1, 2, 3. And he went, yep. So I didn't know. So I'm preparing breakfast and doing, and then I got them their food, whatever. And then I go into my bedroom, and there's the flowers on my bureau. Again. So that was my approval.
The next child to join Mo's family was from the United States. A friend had been looking to adopt and found a boy that was younger than he felt equipped to care for, so he suggested Mo consider taking him on.
About a year after Larry and Jason came, there's a lot of children, a lot of children available because you're involved now in adoption groups. And a friend of mine was a 4-year-old boy available, and he said, he's too young for me, Mom, why don't you take him? I said, well, I have two, I was fine. That's all I wanted. But so anyways, I said, well, it wouldn't hurt to look at the bio. And then, well, have the other kids meet him. And eventually, well, he came. So he was from here, born in New Hampshire. So yeah, that was Chris. And then the other two, so there's five, yeah.
The final two children to join Mo's household were a bit older and officially could not be adopted because they weren't considered orphans on paper.
Her brother, my oldest son, and he was 15, 16, and she was 9, 10 when they left. They were in a camp for well over a year and a half or something. Once a kid is over 3 years old, they become hard to place. And the older they are, the harder they are. So nobody wanted both of them. So yeah, you don't break up a family. So they asked me, and I said, of course. I was their permanent foster care. I had to follow through. So they're family. That's it.
Almost 50 years has passed since Larry and Jason were adopted, and they plan to celebrate the milestone with a big get-together.
My kids gave me a 60th birthday party, 70th birthday party, 80th birthday party. But for me, it's my kids who's important. And I want them to have a celebration. So this celebration is for them. I wanted to do it for my kids, but Jason, my son, who's good at doing it, he did the parties for me before, and so he said, Dad, he said, you're busy. Why don't you let me do this? Along with the Blue Star mothers, who are mothers who have or had children in the services, and the DAR, the Daughters of American Revolution. So I said, okay, because he can do it.
I just want to be a good time with everybody to come and realize, how grateful we are to be adopted from somebody, and just get together, people we haven't seen in a while.
That's going to be April 6th. There'll be some talks around 2 p.m., but it's from 1 to 5. And so anybody who wants to come, you can come in and greet us and say hello. And we don't know how many people will be there, but I'm not going to close it off to anybody,
At its heart, this get-together will celebrate the importance of family and caring for one another, even in difficult times.
He loves helping people. That's one thing he loves doing, is helping people. And the other thing is that he loves his kids, and that I love him.
I'm very grateful that I was adopted, and I realized that later in growing up. But when I was a little kid, I don't know anything about it.
I'm very lucky to have my dad. He is actually my best friend.
Most children from Vietnam have not found their birth parents, and Larry and Jason consider themselves more connected with American culture than Vietnamese.
So I don't even know my parents. I don't even know people out there. I was totally from a plane to America, and that was it. I'm just glad that I'm an American, and will always be.
I love the American food.
Larry has a very special way of acknowledging his mother and keeping her in his heart.
I've not have located my mother at all, but lately I've been thinking about her more, and I always say good morning to her when I wake up every day.
The bond that Mo's family shares demonstrates that wonderful things can come from even the darkest circumstances.
I'm really grateful that he was willing to adopt kids, and we were the ones that were picked.
He's a great man. He's got a heart of gold.
50 years after starting his unlikely family, Mo expressed hope that his story could inspire others to spread kindness in their lives and to pause and appreciate all that they have to be grateful for.
Probably to be kinder to each other, and to appreciate what you have now. Life is short, and I know, I just read a book recently, and whether you live a day or over 100 years, our time here on earth is just a step in time. And so appreciate what you have now, and appreciate, who is in your life, whoever it is.